everyone, Chalon here, and I have a special guest with me today. This is my friend Marilyn. Say hi, Marilyn. I'm in New York City, and it's fucking freezing outside. You know, like when writers, they say biting cold, or like the chill that gets in your bones?
Yes.
It's like that.
Frigid.
Okay, I know a lot of people are just like, Chalon, you are an atheist. Why are you talking to somebody who's a minister? And I'm like, no, she's not that type of minister, right?
I'm in ministerial school at the Michael Bernard Beckwith School of Ministry, which is part of the Agape International Spiritual Center. Yeah, I met a guy in a lift last night. He's like, you should just tell people that when you say you're in the School of Ministry, you're studying to become a Prime Minister of England. I was like, that's probably more accurate than what most people would think of.
But you're not a fire and brimstone minister.
Absolutely.
Actually, what sort of ministry do you do?
So it's part of what's called New Thought. New Thought is what would be considered very, very progressive.
So New Thought, you're not saying New Thought as in like this is a new thought. This is an actual movement.
Correct. Absolutely.
Capital N new, capital T thought.
Absolutely. Capital M movement.
Capital M movement. I heard about New Thought maybe about 2 months ago.
Sure.
And like, why is it called New Thought? Why are you involved in it? Why are you going to preach about New Thought? Why do we need ministers for New Thought?
I'm not necessarily a scholar on the history of New Thought, but I will say my understanding of it, no, bless you, but thank you, so far is that there's this idea that what many people would call God is actually mind. It's conscious. There is a consciousness that is sort of at the heart of all things, but it's not a human consciousness in the way that it would have prejudice, preference, favoritism, direction even. So there's, some people call it an energy, some people call it an activity, that there's this essence that, again, the way that New Thought considers it is the one mind.
Okay, so New Thought, there's not technically like a God.
Correct.
Is New Thought a religion?
I would say it's a spiritual modality. It's a spiritual practice. Some people may call it a religion, but because there are organizations as a part of it, but I like to think of it more as something that truly anyone can be involved in, no matter what they believe or say they don't believe.
Okay.
So atheist, Muslim, Christian, Buddhist traditional people, those types of things. Everyone can come to New Thought. So New Thought is literally being connected to, available to, aligned with is the way I like to think of it. Again, this one mind, that which is conscious creation itself. Almost directing that or being a part of it in a way that is empowering, in a way that is beyond what we would call human circumstance, or that which is going on in the 3D world level, to the
what
fourth
does 3D
dimension
world mean?
The fifth dimension.
Wait, what's
I know, exactly.
What?
I know.
What? 3D? You mean like the glasses you wear in a movie?
Right, exactly.
When I watch 3D movies, I get such a headache. Oh my God.
I think living in the 3D world can give us a headache.
Right.
The 3D world would be that which we're experiencing now with our senses.
So the 3D world is our 5 senses, which is very confusing. Okay.
Exactly. Math is hard.
Why is it called 3D if there's 5 senses? Makes no sense. Anyways.
And so when we're moving into what would be considered maybe fourth dimensional is
there's a 4th dimension?
There is a 4th dimension.
Who decided there's a 4th dimension? I don't...
And this is when we go into the what I call hyper woo area. 4th dimension is sort of more of what would be maybe the metaphysical realm, people engaging with spiritual entities, people engaging with the higher soul level. And Reverend Michael talks about an experience that he had one day when he was in this really beautiful, blissful, meditative state, and walking out, driving his car, and everyone that he was encountering just had this huge grin on their face.
Oh, scary.
I know, exactly. It sounded a little, it could be freaky. And so he was just in the space of like, wow, I feel so connected with everyone. I feel so loving with everyone. And what he realized was that actually he wasn't necessarily seeing their face in the sense of like
even creepier.
Yeah, like, you know, we're seeing each other's faces. What he was seeing was their soul essence, and so their soul essence being in that loving, open, sort of childlike almost way. And so I love that story, and I'm waiting any day now just to walk down the street and
And just see people with like
they're like
Joker
hey,
smiles.
yeah. Hopefully not quite as creepy as that. Hopefully a little more like, you know, in this grounded sense. But
You know, that reminds me of this kid's book that I read a couple of years ago, and they described it as like a veil.
Yes.
And I think Webb Du Bois talks about it too, the veil that separates like the real world from this world that is not exactly invisible, but it's hidden.
Yes, definitely.
And then most of us wear a veil, but once in a while, a corner of the veil is lifted, and then we see stuff, and we're just like, whoa.
It's just a higher level of consciousness, or maybe a more expanded level of consciousness. We don't necessarily like to talk in terms of hierarchy, like, you know, like there's a greater soul or a high, you know, some people talk about like the oversoul or the higher soul. You know, some people use that language, and it's absolutely fine. Again, we're very open and embracing. But again, it's not to say that there's a better way of being, or a better way necessarily of experiencing the world, just maybe a little bit more of an open and expanded one, so that we can understand that we are not just our physical form. You know, there's more to you, there's more to me, there's more to, you know, the chairs that we're sitting on, the physical, you know, because of the way that literally all of this is, you know, everything that we're feeling, everything that we're seeing, again, on that 3D plane, it's just a collection of atoms and molecules and things that are having to buzz around and, you know, form a solid table.
This sounds very Law of Attraction, but not like the Law of Attraction that Oprah did like 12 years ago. You know, that everyone and their mom bought the book, they watched the video, and we were talking yesterday about how that video was viral before viral videos were a thing.
Absolutely.
And we were also talking about how I know people who read the book, did the vision boards and everything, and nothing happened, and they were like, Law of Attraction is bullshit. Well, from what I understand of Law of Attraction, and I think what most people understand, is that Law of Attraction is about energy.
Sure.
So if you have positive energy, it's almost like your energy is like this, but if you have depressed energy, it's more like this. So if you have positive energy, then other things that also vibrate on that energy are just like, yay, friends, and they meet together. But if you're like this, then it's like, oh, friends, and then they meet together.
I think that's a beginning way of understanding it. The other way that I understand that Law of Attraction has been applied is that a lot of times, one, it's about trying to get something. Saying, I don't have this thing that I want, whatever it is. You know, it might be romantic partnership, it might be a
Money.
Porsche, yeah, money, a particular job, you know, a vacation, whatever it is. And so that's why people are creating things like vision boards, or putting together things that remind them of, continually have them thinking of what it is that they want. But underneath all of that, you know, if I'm saying I want this and I'm trying to attract it to me as though I am a magnet for it to bring it in, what I'm corollarily saying at that same time is I don't have this.
So that's like ironic, because you're using it so you can get something.
Right. But energetically even, you're saying I don't have it.
Okay, and I think that's what confuses a lot of people. What's the entire point of doing Law of Attraction, doing magic, doing anything like that, if doing it means that the universe says you don't have it, so we ain't gonna give it to you?
Well, honestly, I don't think it's the universe that's saying we don't have it. I think it's ourselves saying I don't have it. Because say, you know, I don't have currently a romantic partner, but I really, 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 really want one. So I'm saying, oh, I need to Law of Attract this romantic partner. I need to find ways to, you know, be in a space of love, and always, you know, look at bridal magazines or put together my vision board of my ideal date. And again, I'm not demeaning those practices. They can be very valuable, but again, if I'm saying there's something that exists outside of me that I want, but I don't have it, so I need to bring it to myself. then again, we are working with contrasting energies. There's the energy of the thing that I want, which is a desirous energy, and then there's the energy of, but I don't have it. Law of attraction is actually one sort of stage of consciousness. What New Thought ministers actually sort of preach or speak to is called the Law of Radiance.
Radiance. What is the Law of Radiance?
So by the Law of Radiance, truly, and again, this is getting to that whole like sort of third dimensional being versus fourth dimensional being versus fifth dimensional being, you know, the ways in which there is an energetic, if we call it force field, if we call it, again, God, it tends to be the word that's used, but that's not a deity that's outside of us. Again, it's all an energetic that's within us as well.
We're in New York City. This is a city of people who want more.
Right.
Strivers. Let's use like a really concrete example.
Definitely.
I want to make more money. Yes. I want to make, rent is due.
Sure.
In a month. Let's say that I come in and I'm just like, Marilyn, I'm not feeling at peace, right?
Yeah.
I'm panicking because I don't think I can make rent. What would you do? Like, let's just play act right now. What would you do?
Definitely. What I would do first and foremost would be to offer to pray with you.
So guys, at the end of the video, there's a special bonus. So Marilyn is going to lead us through a prayer. You can skip to the end and close your eyes and totally meditate and totally groove with that prayer. Rip that audio and just listen to it, because she has a super sexy voice. You know, have you seen ASMR videos on YouTube where like people, they like use the high-tech mics and they like whisper into it like, you're getting sleep. You would be great at it. Oh my god.
Line of meditation products, exactly.
Oh my god, ASMR ministry.
Very nice.
New thought.
New thought.
New thought. That was amazing.
Did you feel anything?
A lot of peace. Okay. A lot of peace. I definitely also felt centered, much more grounded.
Okay.
So now I feel more centered. I feel calmer.
Good.
Even in my voice, I can tell, like, I feel more chill. Like, I feel like I just smoked something, you know? I almost fell because I feel like I almost smoked something. But,
you got the contact high.
Right. Whoa, Marilyn.
I'm like, you should feel inside my body right now.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
So, okay, we're starting from there, right?
Absolutely. So you've accessed a particular, what we would call feeling tone.
Okay.
So a way of feeling into that energy.
Mm-hmm.
That which is, as it's called in the Bible, peace that passes all human understanding.
Wow.
So it's not something that exists on a mental level. We really do need to feel it in order to know it, I would say. It's moving beyond just believing in something to actually having an embodied experience of it. So, yes, so again, it is that energetic cultivation. And what I would say is the reason that you're able to feel that and feel that so quickly, again, is because it already exists inside of you. You didn't have to go out and find it. You didn't, I mean, I know that the prayer, again, was sort of a space to activate it, we could say, but on a soul level, you're recognizing that energy that's dwelling within you. I didn't give it to you. I didn't say, here, have some peace, have some abundance, I spoke a word of what we would call truth, because it's, again, the same yesterday, today, and always, that there is this foundational law of the universe. We spoke a little bit before about how this is an impartial law. It's absolutely applicable to everyone. It doesn't follow a moral code. It's not something.
Wait, what is this law again?
So this would be, again, that which is the law of truth. Anyhow, so to say, in terms of the law of the universe, that's the law that, again, I would call God itself in action, and we are engaging that particular creative energetic, knowing that it exists within us. So as opposed to, again, there being something outside of myself that I'm trying to attract to me, everything is in my sphere, and I'm just radiating outward that which I am. And as I'm doing that, then everything else is coming, that is meeting that. So it's still that, as you were talking about, kind of having the resonance, meeting that resonance. It's a similar idea, but the difference being, like, I'm not having to lift myself up to something else that exists outside of me. I'm saying I'm here, and everything else that's here is also connected to me as I am radiating out this energy.
This almost sounds like I'm like this treasure chest that has every single costume, every single like everything, and I just have to rummage through the chest and find whatever it is that I need. Like there's already like the ruby ring, the man, the money in the chest that's inside of me, and all I need to do is just find it.
And vibrate it.
And vibrate it.
Radiate it, I guess I should say. Dazzle it outwards.
Very Sailor
Yeah,
Moon.
definitely. At the end of the movie Elizabeth, have you seen that about Queen Elizabeth I?
Yes.
There's that beautiful scene where, you know, Cate Blanchett is really taking on her role as Queen Elizabeth. And I can't remember exactly what the full context of the speech is, but she ends with the line, "I shall become a virgin." And so it's that idea of being that entity, that archetype almost, on an energetic plane, so that everything then flows from that.
So if I don't have rent to pay, how do I become somebody who does have money for rent?
It's engaging that understanding of the abundance that is within you, that we are here as creative, energetic entities that have nothing lacking within ourselves, again on an energetic frequency plane. And so it's harnessing that, it's tapping into that energy that you were feeling that when we prayed. You know, all of this I feel is honestly the same energy. Peace, joy, abundance, those types of things, they're not actually separate.
It sounds like your ministry is very compatible with witchy things, with magic.
Definitely.
Because you're basically talking about a type of magic.
Absolutely.
Coming from like my background, it sounds like non-duality.
Absolutely.
So basically like I'm like this table, I'm you, like I'm the tree out there. So if I don't have money, well, I'm the bank account that's empty. I'm the bank account that has money in it. Like there's no separation. It's almost like the Matrix, you know, like in the end where it's like all the green lines and stuff. But we're all that Matrix stuff.
Definitely.
And so, I mean, we could be Neo.
Hey, we are all Neo. It's just the experience that we're moving through based on, and I was mentioning earlier, those sort of, you know, 4 aspects of consciousness. And again, this is from Reverend Michael's teachings specifically. So,
What are those 4 again?
I know, I didn't mention them before, so I'll speak to them now as best as I can remember. So that first level of consciousness is called victim consciousness, and victim consciousness would be to me. So there's something out here, God, my husband, my mother-in-law, my boss, that is doing things to me. It might be my diagnosis, my illness, my empty bank account. It's doing things to me is my thought on it. So I am feeling as though somehow that I'm victimized by that. The second one is what would be maybe called manifestor consciousness. That's either to it or by me. So this is the law of attraction type stage. This is the vision boards. This is somebody saying, I'm recognizing that I am more than what I'm experiencing in life. I'm maybe not necessarily separate from these things that are going on around me. Again, by doing law of attraction type practices, I'm doing something to the universe. So it's no longer, you know, necessarily, oh, the universe is just coming down on me and, you know, F my life, you know, that type of thing. I can do something and have influence over this. So that's a level that I think more people are learning how to work with. Third state is through me. So this is what would be maybe the meditative state. This is, you know, when what you were starting to feel with the prayer, that there's something within me that can, again, emerge, radiate, that things are happening without me having to do all of this, you know, maybe spell work or again, the vision boards, or you know, that it's a little bit more of like a subtle practice, the through me, understanding that this energy is already within me. And then the final is as me, and this is that samadhi state. This is that I am one with all that is. Very few people probably reach this in any way that they would like live from this particular state. Like that, it's not something that people just like, you know, you'd be walking around like glowing essentially.
I want to glow.
I know, right?
So you start off by being like, I'm a child, I'm a victim. And then it almost sounds like you're growing
Nice.
up.
Sure.
And then after that, it's no longer it's happening to me. It's like, I'm captain of my industry. I can like work. I can put in the hours. I can hustle. I can grind. And I can do that.
Sure, absolutely.
Third one, when it's going through you, actually, Oprah, I remember one time she said that like, she went down on her knees and prayed to God, you know, just work through me. Whatever I do, like, just give me the inspiration and let it come out from there. Like, it sounds more inspired.
Absolutely, definitely. And a lot of times is less, I mean, again, this is a wonderful word that Reverend Michael uses that I love. It's releasing our acquisitive nature. So I think that sort of second stage...
Acquisitive?
Acquisitive, to acquire.
Ah, okay.
You know, that gettingness. You know, I think when we're in that sort of, again, second stage, the manifestor might be law of attraction. It's a lot about getting things. And I think that's a really big criticism that comes up about, you know, that whole movement is people say, well, it's a bunch of middle class, primarily white people sitting around trying to get things, you know, teaching children that if, you know, you think about your bike, you know, all the time and put up pictures of your bike, you will get a bike. And it can work. And, you know, and it's not to say that, again, that there's anything wrong with that, but if that's where we get stuck, if all I live in is like, how much can I get from this world? Is that really my goal? Is that really, and it's okay if your answer is yes.
Well, you know what, like people
but
who
on a spiritual level,
or
it's
even
to say
like on
that,
a practical level,
Sure.
The ones who seem to have real success in life, it's not just one-dimensional. It's not like just grabbing, clinging.
Sure.
They have, like Warren Buffett, you know? I'm going to guess that he's got some stuff moving through him.
Sure.
Donald Trump, not so much. Still a rich guy, but it's
Definitely.
different. It's a different energy.
You know, the thing is, too, with all of these, you know, I love your idea of it, you know, having sort of corollary to us growing up in adulthood. And we can be, you know, I can be in maybe third stage consciousness, you know, with my spiritual practice and, you know, showing up at work. And then maybe every single time I have a conversation with my father, I'm in victim mode.
Ah, yeah.
So it's not necessarily a, you know, once I've achieved this, I will always be here, and everywhere I move in my life and my world, you know, I mean, we're always constantly moving, you know, in different, and again, you know, it may even be that, you know, one time I was with my father and I got all, you know, up to that third state and was just feeling like, oh, we're so connected and that's great. And then 2 months from, you know, later, we're back in the victim mode or, you know, whatever it may be. So
it's dynamic.
Absolutely. It's very, very dynamic. And again, I think practice and cultivating that energetic prayer, meditation, there's a beautiful process. And actually the book that a lot of this that I've been talking about is written in is Reverend Michael's Life Visioning book. And so he has this wonderful practice about that's called life visioning, which is different than visualization. And that's tapping into sort of what would be called God's vision or creation's vision, kind of like oracular, spectacular types.
Oracular, spectacular. Oh, I like that.
Of being available to, you know, what the universe is bringing forward versus like what I'm trying to mentally make happen.
This is a very like it's a very Western way of thinking to be like, I'm going to dominate nature. I'm going to dominate the world. My will. On top of the physical world, right?
Right.
I mean...
Well, and again, that's what I would say is stage 2.
Stage 2.
Stage 3 is more what would be called God's will. So again, going back to the biblical way of saying things, it would be thy will be done, not my will, but thy will, but God's will. And again, knowing that God, I'm not talking about some man with a beard in the sky. I'm talking about that which is creation itself.
I just envisioned the Matrix again.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was just like, okay, so level 1 is almost like you're just in the Matrix, you have no idea what's going on, and you're like, why does my life suck? There's nothing I can do about it. I'm trapped.
Sure.
And you just have this feeling of discontent. Like, there's some invisible force working on me. I don't know what the fuck it is, but whatever.
Right.
And then second is sort of like Neo, like practicing Kung Fu.
Right.
Right? Third is like remember that scene where Trinity, she needs to like learn to fly the helicopter, and they download the helicopter instructions in her, and like in 2 seconds her eyeballs like they just go like crazy, and then she like knows how to like drive the helicopter.
Exactly.
It's like that. And then finally the 4th stage is when Neo at the end, he's just like stop, and he stops the bullets, and he's like one, because he realizes
it's all
oh, that's mind blowing.
Well said.
Oh my god. So basically her ministry is like the Matrix.
I'm teaching you the Matrix.
The Matrix, but like real life Matrix.
Absolutely.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Actually, that means that Reverend Michael Beckwith, when he saw all those people smiling, he saw the Matrix.
He totally saw
He saw the Matrix.
He did, yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And the Matrix is not green lines. It's people smiling and like,
it's pure love. It's that sense that, again, that we're held by something that's so much bigger than, just what I can feel, what I can see, what I can smell, what I can sense.
I'm just, again, back to the Matrix. Remember like that dude, Cypher? I think that's his name, where he was just like, I know the steak is not real, but it's still delicious.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like when we just go after the material stuff, it's like we're going after this immaterial steak, but it's not real.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and a lot of the New Thought ministers that I've been around will say that, because definitely, again, you can activate this and you can bring in, supposedly, or manifest, radiate some really amazing things. But after a while, when that's not really meeting what you're wanting, that's when, again, you kind of release this sense of needing, because what you're connecting with is so fulfilling, like literally it fills you up, that you're not in a state of needing. And that's why a lot of times people will talk about, I found a partner when I was no longer looking.
Yeah, we all know that person. It's like they like got out of a relationship. They're just like, I don't want anything serious. And like a month later, they're married.
Yeah, exactly.
I think a lot of people resist the Christian or Abrahamic religions because it doesn't seem like reality. It seems like you're just pretending and wishing. But what you're saying is that you're trying to help people see what's real, and this is not the most real thing.
Right. Absolutely.
Like,
definitely.
This cup is not as real as the potential inside me to make $500 because I feel abundant.
Or again, to be abundance itself is what I would say. Yeah, definitely. To have, to have that particular energetic. What I'm going to say to add as a caveat is, for people that are moving through those really base, potentially devastating, dangerous circumstances and things. I'm not saying, if for someone that's waking up day after day after day in a, war-torn, devastating,
Syria,
absolutely, situation, I'm not recommending that they sit down and meditate for 8 hours a day. Cultivating it, knowing it's within oneself is, I think, for a lot of people, what helped them to survive these absolutely, horrific, devastating circumstances. It brings them through. Many of the people that have survived the Holocaust, for instance, have talked about sort of having that sense of like almost a power that was greater than themselves that they could draw on. Now, I wouldn't use it as greater than themselves. I believe that power, again, also exists within them. I think the other piece with Law of Attraction is a lot of people saying, oh, I don't want to talk about the negative things. I don't want to talk about,
because then I'll bring it to me.
Right, exactly. We're not trying to escape what might be called the shadow necessarily, but it's to understand that we don't stop there.
We're more than that.
Absolutely. New Thought lends itself really, really nicely because it can be applied in any way. Like there can be prayers that I practice in conjunction with setting up my altar that are engaging with those energies. The other thing that I'll say is, as a New Thought minister in training, that one of the things that I'm also learning is that for myself, I don't necessarily need to rely on the crystal, the candle, the spell, as such. that again, there's an energetic that just by engaging it,
because you're
is enough.
tapped right into the source.
Right, definitely. And so I think, again, if we're talking in those stages of consciousness, that a lot of times, you know, witches can get maybe stuck on that level too, where they feel they need, you know, again, the vision board, the perfect altar, the, you know, best wand, you know, whatever, you know, always these things in order to make something happen. Whereas, yeah, exactly, if I'm in the matrix, if I'm knowing that energetic directly, you know, I can use a piece of paper or no paper or, you know, myself and a meditation cushion or myself and the floor.
You can call the operator to have them like put in the program so you can download whatever thing that you need. So now that you know Kung Fu.
From the one mind.
From the one mind. So guys, let's talk about what it's like to be in the matrix, and can you get out of it? Is it hard? I know a lot of young people have not watched that movie. You have to watch The Matrix. It was like a watershed moment for a lot of people, I think, spiritually. Like, tell us your experiences after listening to the meditation. Yeah, let Marilyn know how it worked for you. Thank you so much, Marilyn.
Oh my goodness, my joy.
This video. It's cold. I'm gonna wrap her up. Her and her purple hair. She's like the hippest minister of all time. Purple hair, piercing.
I love Ray.
So, yeah, guys, meditate. And remember, you're just part of the matrix.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye. Peace. So, and you're good, open, closed eyes, however you're comfortable. You know, it's wonderful. All right. So how very grateful I am. I'm grateful right here and right now to be present to the breath that I am breathing. Grateful to receive this gift of breath and to know that it is what animates my being, every cell, every nerve ending, that it is what is continually fueling me, it is what is funding me, it is what is reminding me with every breath that I am aligned with that which is the creative and loving and peace-filled and joy-filled essence of all of the universe. It is God itself, if I may use the word God, that which is real and true, unending, the same yesterday, today, always. I'm grateful to recognize God in this moment as joy, as peace, as harmony, as grace, as perfect wisdom, knowing that it is unfolding in all ways, every moment, with every breath. I'm grateful to know that as I receive this breath, that I cannot ever run out of breath. I don't have to question if the next breath will come. It is always provided. There is an abundance of breath that is here for me. And I am knowing that this breath is the very breather that breathes through me. Again, that which I may call God, knowing that I am one with God, that there is no separation, no distinction, no other than. There is only that which is beating my heart, breathing my breath, one mind, one heart, one divine activity that is spread out in myriad ways. So as I am knowing this for and about myself in this space of gratitude, I am knowing it for and about Shawan as well, knowing that right where she is, that which breathes her breath, that which is the very source that sources her, is continually resourcing itself in a variety of ways, in infinite ways, that it is showing up as perfect, power-filled abundance, that it demonstrates as that which she is needing to sustain her rent and then some, that which she is needing as divine right livelihood, that it is flowing through her. There is no ceasing, that it is perfect and pure in the way that it shows up, that she is met by this magnificent abundance wherever she turns, that truly she prospers wherever she turns. And from this energetic of prosperity, that her life is flourishing, that there is an activity taking place that is the unfolding of the divine made flesh. I am so grateful and thankful to recognize that this is what is occurring on behalf of Shawan, on behalf of myself, on behalf of all of us, for we are united in this great, grand, and glorious universe as the activities of the infinite, expanding and expressing continuously. From this place of thanksgiving, I release this word. I release it into the living and loving law, knowing that there is a singular law of the universe, that it is the law of good, the law of grace, the law of radiance itself. And unto this law, there is nothing that would return void. It is already done. It is known. It is seen. It is held. It is blessed. It is good. So releasing this word, I lovingly say, and so it is. Amen.
Amen. I know I've said this to you before, Marilyn, but she's got a sexy ass voice, okay?